All right, so it was John Smith and Valerie Day, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Nice.
Just want to make sure I get the names right. That would be bad juju.
Not everybody gets the names right.
See? And John Smith, such a complicated name too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exotic, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Is that like Norwegian?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, Finnish, actually.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm getting pretty good at this.
Guess your weight and age.
Yeah, there you go.
The making of a great compilation tape. Like breaking up is hard to do and takes ages longer than it might seem. You got to kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you got to take it up a notch. But you don't want to blow your wad, so then you got to cool it off a notch. There are a lot of rules.
12 albums, 1 cent. Find our ad in Sunday's paper, take it to your mailbox. You'll get a lot more music. You'll get a lot more life. Look in your Sunday paper.
Welcome, listener. For those about to rock, we salute you. This is our podcast dedicated to exploring and talking about the greatness that was the music of the best decade. If you're ready for the best in retro music topics on the planet, we present for your enjoyment 80s Mixtape Auto Reverse.
All right, hello. This is 80s Mixtape Auto Reverse. I am Dave. Online, I've got co-host 80s Music Girl Rose. How you doing, Rose?
Hey, everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Very excited today. And the reason why, and every once in a while we do this thing where we kind of open up the curtain to our back life of the real world. And recently, just this week, I started a brand new job. And the reason why I'm being boring at the beginning here is because I'm leading up to something cool. Is I started a new job where I have to wear a suit every day, and as a result, I had to get a brand new wardrobe, and I had to get air quote new shoes.
Sweet.
And the new shoes, unfortunately, with my modern wardrobe being the new leather dress shoes, aren't really comfortable because I'm breaking them in, right? You get the rubbing the back of the ankle, just very kind of painful over the course of the day. But back in the 80s, we had this really awesome other kind of air quote new shoes, and they're joining us today. John Smith,
Woo-hoo!
Valerie Day.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us on the show.
We just enjoy that you're here to be able to talk to us and geek out about 80s music. You're right there in the middle of it all, so we're really excited to get to know a little bit about you. My first question is, how did you guys decide to name your band Nu Shooz?
There was already a band called The Shoes, so we had to become Nu Shooz.
And then the bass player changed it to NUSHOOZ because in the 80s that was a cooler spelling. So not a super exciting band origination story for the name, but
We needed something to put on the poster.
basically.
Oh, okay. So,
And we got stuck with it. And about 30 years later, I started to like it.
30 years later.
Oh,
I
dear.
wanted it to be something edgy like Megadeth,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that was already taken too.
Yeah, it was already taken. So was the Beatles.
So there
So,
Yeah.
But you put a Z on the end and everything is cool.
The
There you
Beatles.
go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Z makes it rock.
Yeah.
It does.
Definitely.
You're primarily the Portland, Oregon area then.
Yes, I was born and raised a fifth generation Oregonian, John ended up here after he got bored one day as a 19-year-old in Los Angeles and decided to hitchhike up to Olympia, Washington, closer to where you are, Rose, to visit an old girlfriend who promptly, when he got there, said, sorry, dude, you need to go home.
Well, she didn't say that, but she looked at me like, what are you doing here?
So he turned around, ended up on an on-ramp on I-5 with a friend of mine who lived at this household, this communal household in Northwest Portland, and said, hey, you know, if you don't have a place to stay, why don't you come to Portland for a couple nights? And that
was 41 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Such an awesome story.
I left out a few parts, but you know.
No, well, yeah, that's okay. All right.
Like he actually got picked up. One of his rides was the Bachman Turner Overdrive equipment truck, which he got stuck in the back of with $3 and a box of graham crackers, and he couldn't eat graham crackers for a really long time after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him now.
Life on the road.
Yeah, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great story. One of my questions, you know, because I do interviews and mostly in blog form, and I always ask people, how did you get started? I mean, did you just like wake up one day and go, I should start a band? Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Okay, let's go do that.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, we were involved in the Latin music scene in Portland in the mid '70s, and about '78, I took a trip to New York and heard all the real salsa bands, and I just had a light bulb go off. It went bing. I'm not Puerto Rican or Cuban. I'm gonna go home and start something American. I want to do a soul band with horns, because I grew up
Nice.
during the Motown era. And so it really was a flash of light kind of thing. And I came home and set to work on it. It took about 1.5 years to get it going.
I like your pathologist Jimi Hendrix story, though. That actually goes back a little further.
Yeah, I was in 10th grade and I walked into the school library. And back then in the '70s, the school libraries were putting in turntables. You know, they wanted to be relevant, have kids come in and listen to records. So anyway, I'm in the school library. I'm this nerdy little kid. I was going to be a pathologist, actually. All my life, I thought I was going to be a doctor, but one that, you know, didn't see patients, but looked through a microscope, you know. And I walked into the school library, and the bad kid in the school said, hey, kid, come here, listen to this. And he put the headphones on my head, and it was Hendrix. And that was another light bulb. I just went, you know, arms out in front of like a sleepwalker. I must do this. And really, that's how I became a musician.
So you succumbed to a Hendrix pusher.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It was a gateway drug to a lot of other
Yeah,
styles of music.
Yeah, it was the gateway drug to Coltrane and Charlie Parker. Definitely.
Wow, that's cool.
So then you go from, how did the band evolve? How did you guys like get together and decide to, you know, start doing it?
Well, we started as a 4-piece. I wanted to do Temptations and stuff, but the set list got pretty eclectic right away. It was just a bunch of odds and ends, Beatles and Eric Clapton and fusion stuff. And at the same time, I was playing in a big band that rehearsed at the Musicians Union on Sunday nights. And I wrote one big band chart that was a disaster. And then somebody gave me a copy of a Tower of Power chart, and I looked at it and I went, I could do this. So I nabbed 4 horn players out of the big band, and then it really was going. Then it really started going.
Yeah, it turned into a 12-piece, and I joined as a backup singer and percussionist because I was never going to be a singer because my mom was she sang opera and classical music, and she had a really world-class voice. So singer wasn't an option for me, I felt, because I didn't think I had that great of a voice. And so I love music. I actually started out thinking I would be a dancer, but then my teenage self said, when you're older, if you're a musician, you probably can still get hired to do bar mitzvahs, but if you're a dancer, probably not so much.
That was your goal, to play bar mitzvahs.
Well, just make
Nice.
money,
Right.
so I could live,
Mazel
basically.
tov.
Yeah, mazel tov. So,
Aim high, aim high.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
but I was just trying to be a practical 15-year-old, and so anyway, I switched over to music and like I said, played in Latin bands and stuff. But we yeah, when the band expanded, I became backup singer. There was a male lead singer at the time named David Musser, and we also had a 3 female backup group that was called the Ilettes. And
Let's take the shoe metaphor and beat it to death. The
Yeah,
shoe
right?
horns, the eyelets.
And our first gig, I remember we didn't even fit on the stage. Like half of us ended up on the dance floor because there were so many people. But yeah, Portland was a great place to start a band like this because in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, it was a backwater. Nobody knew Portland even existed, and it was cheap to live here because the rents were cheap. There were a lot of bands, but not as many as there are now.
Not even.
And there was one club in town that actually required you to play original music, which is like unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of. And so we ended up playing 2 to 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night, no opening bands, and we got our chops together. That's a lot of playing.
That is a lot of playing. I mean, you try to get regular musicians, professional ones that are, to do that now, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you get an hour and a half set, and that's it.
Right.
Goodness, yeah.
The third hour
just,
is the best anyway.
Yeah.
You're all warmed up and
and to be able to park in a club for 4 or 5 nights, and really dial it by Friday night, you're sounding really good. And there were a lot of clubs here within a 2-mile radius. You could work every night.
That's cool. I had no idea that Portland was that jumping.
Yeah, we didn't get the publicity that Seattle got in the grunge era.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it just kind of took everybody by surprise.
Yeah,
and there's like people going, "That's us. We did that. Yeah, okay, yeah, let's run with it. Yeah, cool."
And really, Seattle, Nirvana just blew the world wide open.
They did. They totally did.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. And then you get Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and those to follow, and now it's like post grunge, and you could just hear the influence so much,
Sure.
And it's not even here, it's you can hear it over in the UK, you can hear it in the Finland where you're from, and
actually I'm a quarter Finn. That's what's funny about that.
So I totally nailed it again.
Yeah.
A Smith with an E at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, with a bunch of letters that you don't even pronounce,
Yeah.
So then, how long did it take to get I Can't Wait until that came out, or you?
We were in the clubs for 7 years.
Okay.
When that happened, and we had gone through, I don't know, about 5 incarnations of the band, and people left, and more people came and left, and we went through 5 keyboard players in that time, and finally got the band stabilized, and bam, we got on the radio with I Can't Wait.
Whose idea was it for the video for that?
That was going to be my question. That is such a great video, but odd. It's so odd because of all the randomness that's in it.
We loved that video from the very minute that we saw it, and still do to this day, because it is so random and so, like, I don't know, you experience it on this other level. Because it's not literal. I mean, we were lucky in that we had a director named Jim Blashfield who did all kinds of really, really creative work for Joni Mitchell,
Michael Jackson, Peter Gabriel.
Wow.
who else?
Yeah,
Talking Heads.
it
I mean,
definitely had a Peter Gabriel feel to it.
Definitely.
he was on the forefront of a lot of really cool visual stuff. So we found out, because he lives in Portland and we're good friends now, we found out that he actually showed up at that shoot just winging it, and brought in a bunch of stuff for us to interact with. And then we shot a bunch of film footage, and then he put it together and then put all that great post stuff on it afterward. But I guess the dog was a neighbor's dog, and he went to get their dog house to put in the shoot, and the dog was there, so they took the dog too. And that's how the dog with sunglasses ended up being in this video. And I don't know, I really love it that I'm not like waiting by the phone for some guy to call or something stupid like that. I am doing small appliance repair, and I think I'm still the only 80s artist that, you know, is doing that in a video to this day.
Yeah, because that to me is just, it's so 80s.
It's
The
just
80s, you
so,
could just do anything in the 80s,
yep,
and that just
yep.
epitomized,
Yeah, and the label Atlantic, they didn't really know what to do with us anyway. They didn't know what to do with a hippie funk band from Portland, so they didn't interfere too much. They didn't interfere at all, actually.
Yeah.
And we were with them for 7 years, and they never really said, "Oh, could you make 4 more I Can't Waits" or anything like that. And they didn't interfere with the video choices or anything. So that was
good.
pretty cool.
Good, they gave you creative control. That's awesome.
They gave us key to the candy store.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, I Can't Wait takes off like gangbusters, and you're what, mid '80s, late '80s. Was there anything that you got involved in because of the popularity of that, where you're like, I can't believe we're here?
The Grammys were pretty amazing.
Okay.
I think there's nothing like watching the Grammys when you're nominated for something. It wasn't the same after that. I didn't really watch it after that. Yeah, and we knew we weren't going to win because we knew enough about the business at that time. We were nominated for Best New Artist, and we knew Bruce Hornsby was going to win because he'd sold about 3 times as many records. And so, yeah, we had that figured out. But still, at that moment when they tear the envelope open,
You're like, wow, I did not wear the right antiperspirant.
Yeah, and I didn't prepare anything to say either.
Right, and then the moment passes, and you're like, "Phew, Bruce, he's got it."
Yeah, and he gave
way to nail that one, Bruce.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness! No, see, that was actually going to be a question, and I wasn't going to be cheeky about it, but one of our co-hosts, Jesse Jackson, he does Set Listing Bruce and a few other podcasts, and he and I just recently finished a podcast of the 80s Grammys. And when we got to this year, we take a look, like a retro look back, reflective, and already who's won, but he's like, do you have any other choices? Well, who would you have picked? And I'm like, oh, get out of here, come on, Valerie Day and Nu Shooz, give me a break. Close personal friend of mine, thank you very much. And
name dropper.
I know. But then I looked back on it and I thought, I've never had an opportunity to ask a person, what's it like not winning a Grammy or an Oscar, or, because everybody always looks so, oh, wonderful, yes, thank you, congratulations, you beat me, kind of a thing. But
Yeah,
it's just like, we're all human, and it's just like, did you kind of have like that little like, feeling after you heard?
Not too bad, actually, because we really did think Bruce was going to get it. I mean, it's kind of like, when you're up for, I guess when you're in the music business, you're kind of used to rejection. Because
I hear that a lot. I really do.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Rose? I mean, there's just when you're in the entertainment business, sometimes you're just not what people want or need for the part, for the
Right.
role. And so you can't take that personally, and you kind of get an idea of how the Academy is going to vote because you've seen how they have done it in the past. And so, up until that moment where it was like 10, 9, 8,
The
they're counting.
envelope,
Yeah, the
please.
envelope, please. We just went, Bruce Hornsby has this. So we weren't too disappointed. And we still got to go there. We still got to dress up and, and go to the parties afterwards where,
Some people were pretty glum at the party afterwards.
but we didn't care.
But here's the funny part is that we were sort of such Latin jazz people that we didn't really know that much about show business going in. And so when we got the Grammy nomination, I got the call and our manager said, "Hey, you got nominated for a Grammy." And I was like, "Oh, that's nice. See ya." And I didn't even tell Val for half a day. And then the local stations were all calling, and, "Oh, you're nominated for a Grammy."
Yeah, the local TV and radio stations.
Yeah,
going.
and going, "Wow, this is huge,"
And we're like, really?
Oh, it is? Because we didn't, we just weren't in that orbit,
we didn't pay attention.
That's so awesome that you're grounded like that.
Or just
it was
ignorant.
Yeah, it was total ignorance. We'll admit it. We didn't know.
We were in it for the music. We just kept, our noses down and just, wanted to be the best band that we could be.
And there wasn't really MTV playing around the house. It was more like Charlie Parker playing around the house and Latin records and stuff. So we were in a whole different orbit than that. And so it's interesting, but we didn't really think we were going to win. It's kind of like the prom queen. You know who's going to get prom queen in high school, right?
Yeah.
It's a popularity contest. It's a beauty contest. End of story.
Political too.
Yeah.
So besides the Grammys, was there like any other like late night TV appearance or some gig that you got to do because of the popularity of of your song that was kind of surprising?
There was so much going on at that time period that I don't even remember, what was connected to what. I think I got asked to do Hollywood Squares, which I just didn't think, I was that girl for that particular gig. So turned that one down because Paul Lynn, right? No, Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn.
Oh, yeah. He's
Center Square.
He's the guy that you want on your team.
Great memory, John.
But we did get to be on American Bandstand with
And
Dick Clark.
Awesome.
And Solid Gold twice with two of my favorite singers,
Marilyn McCoo
and Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
Which the first 45 I ever bought was my first Soul 45 was Dionne Warwick.
And I was a little kid, used to watch, Solid Gold and that whole thing. And just, it was amazing to meet Dick Clark. And he was such a nice guy and knew all about our band. And I don't know, we were so nervous. It was unbelievable.
I can imagine.
But fun. Really, really, that was a big day.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He was known as One Take Clark. They did that show in one take. There'd be a rehearsal take, and then boom.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Me neither. Wow,
Thank
that's
you very
awesome.
much. Good night.
So that almost sounds like a better experience than the Grammys for you then.
Well, it's Dick Clark. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Watching him as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome.
Yeah, great guy.
I always like to give, every so, and I know other people do it too, but if it's just like somebody asks you, what do you think of that song? Oh, I give it a 75. It's upbeat and easy to dance to kind of a thing. And I can't do that anymore because people look at me like, what?
Yeah,
it's just
right?
Oh, right. That whole cultural reference lost.
Yeah. It's like, sorry. Yeah, it's a 60s thing. You wouldn't get it.
So then, Point of No Return. How about that song? How did that come about?
Well, we had a lot of, we gigged so much. And so when we weren't gigging, we were always trying to renew the book because the songs would get old. It was like, please, let's get some new tunes in here because we're playing 4 hours a night, you know.
Mhm.
So I don't remember exactly when Point of No Return got into the book, but
It's
it was
around 85.
you
You
know,
know, people ask us what that song was about, and I always like to say it's about 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
But yeah.
yeah,
You know,
right.
it's something to play.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I never felt like it was finished. But I'm
Really?
glad
Okay.
people like it.
And that was another interesting video too, with all the shoes, just kind of randomly dancing around.
Yeah, that was a
They were just there. We showed up at this place, and there were shoes, and they were dancing. You know,
Nice.
it was, and we were there for 24 hours, and in the morning, the shoes were all asleep, and we
and
left.
yep, yep.
Wore 'em
In fact,
out.
I felt, you know, when I opened the closet door in that video and all the shoes fall on me, I actually fell
Mhm.
asleep on the floor because they had shoe wranglers that would take those shoes and they'd move them like an inch, and then they'd you know, shoot film,
Oh my
another
gosh.
inch, shoot film, another inch, shoot film, and so this was like how they did the whole thing.
Hundreds of shoes, and they had
Yeah.
6 or 8 shoe wranglers, and each one was responsible for a dozen pairs or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Can you imagine nailing a gig like that?
I know, right?
What's your
Oh,
specialty? I'm a shoe wrangler. I can do up to 14 pairs of shoes at one time. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, you
great
got the gig.
No,
resume
we
item.
only need you to do 8. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an easy one.
Oh man, that was a fun video, and I really, really liked the dancing in it and John's mullet.
I was about to say John's hair. You still got the haircut,
That
right,
was
John?
kick-ass hair, I'm telling you. It was just really, I loved it.
Well, you can say thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I was waiting for you to confirm that you
I
still
don't
have the
even
same
like waiting for the
haircut.
punchline, but
Oh
I'm being serious. I'm like,
yeah.
you know.
And actually, when our son was born, he was born with that haircut too.
Can you imagine? Oh, that would be
Everyone on our street has a
sad.
mullet.
Our dog has one.
Yeah,
We don't even have a dog.
Oh my goodness.
Hillary Clinton has one.
She did at one time.
Yeah,
Except reverse.
right.
We're not going to do a political discussion now. Come on.
No, I'm sorry. I
No.
couldn't help myself there. Oh my goodness. I guess I can just feel this next one. We're just going to move you out of the 80s now. We're just going to say
Okay.
bye-bye to the 80s. We had a great time. It's the 90s now. How much of a culture shock, if at all, was that for you all?
Well, after 7 years on Atlantic, and we made 3 records for them actually. One of the last one that didn't get released. We were kind of done. You know, the music business was not. We weren't very good at it, to tell you the truth. It wasn't fun anymore to do the band, and we felt like the music was really suffering as a consequence. You know, you make a record for 4 years and then it doesn't get put out, and your manager comes to you and says, "Do you want me to try to find another record deal?" And we were like, "No,
No, we're done.
We're out of here." So we parted ways with Atlantic, and then we moved on. And actually, it was a great musically. The next, I would say, how many years would that have been?
20 years.
20 years.
Almost exactly, yeah.
Were really good for both of us. John started working on commercial music and film, and that was great for him because he would wake up every day with a different kind of music that he had to create for on his plate. So he did everything from country to classical and heavy metal and, you know, all of it, and got to do a lot of really cool stuff. And I started teaching voice and taught for 20 years, and we had a kid, and that couldn't have happened, I don't think, if we were touring and doing all that stuff, because I don't know how people do that. I really don't. I guess you take your kid with you sometimes, and
They have
hopefully
nannies.
you
Madonna
hopefully
has a nanny.
well, you have to make a lot of money to bring people on the road with you. But people do it. But I liked having a home life that was really stable
Yeah.
for son, and so that worked out. It worked out really, really well. And then I also went back to singing jazz and made a few jazz records. One with actually John did a lot of arranging for the big band record that I did, and we worked on a bunch of really cool projects together and separately. So it was also good for us because we'd worked together for so long, and we got to have different creative lives for a while, and that's always good because then you
Yeah.
appreciate each other more when you come back together and do stuff together again.
Yeah. And really, the truth is, like, we were done with Nu Shooz. We never thought we'd do it again, especially me. I had written for this band for 14 years, and I wanted to do something else.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable that we ended up doing it again after 20 years of 20-year break. Maybe that's the length of break we needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really noticed that like the insurgence of the 80s pop culture is really it seems like it's really huge like in the UK versus in the US. Have you seen that kind of popularity, with, your music,
Oh, it's
of,
going nuts here.
okay.
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and we got pulled back into it because of the 80s resurgence, and there's a massive fan base out there.
And they're not just people who lived through the 80s. There's actually quite a few people who are really into the music who, either were small children or just born when the 80s were happening, or they discovered it later,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
discovered
amazing.
that it's
Well, it's the best music anyway, so that's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I'm trying to find a way to say this that in the 80s all the bands sounded different from each other. Even all the funk
Yeah.
bands sound different
Hmm.
from each other.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel that as much.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to put anybody down, but I think that the 80s music was very distinctive, you know.
Okay.
You can definitely tell Nu Shooz from Talking Heads,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have trouble telling some modern people apart.
Yeah. I'm that person when my daughter and I are driving, and I'm like, is that Demi Lovato? Is that Taylor Swift? Who's that?
You're
Is
right.
it Taylor
She'll,
Swift or Katy Perry?
All right.
yeah, and she'll be like, neither one. It's this person. I'm like, oh, they're
Right.
new.
Right.
How old your daughter was?
32.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Would you have
she's
her
my
when you
baby.
were 9?
I did. Yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, she was born right in the middle, well, 1984, so
Wow,
Yeah,
in
wow.
the thick of it.
in the thick of it. Yep.
Yeah.
So my oldest son remembers a lot more than the other two, which is fine. I mean, it's like one's in 83 and one's in 84, and then I used to play this game with them. We'd go to the store, and this is later. This is earlier in the 2000s, and I'll give you $5. You can tell me who this is. Every answer, every single time. Duran Duran? This is a woman's thing. What are you talking about? It's not Duran Duran.
Right.
Oh,
Jeez.
that's funny.
So yeah, so then I just like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna drill this into your head whether you like it or not. So yeah. Now they can
Wow.
pretty much pick out different people, so which is good. They're
That's
getting better.
that's funny. That reminds me of when we were playing in clubs and people would yell, "Play ZZ Top," and we're like, "Hey, we're a band with 4 horns and a female singer.
Oh,
Hello."
I don't have a beard.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not going to sing She's Got Legs. So
No.
Uh-uh. Not gonna do it.
yeah, that's funny.
Looking at your website actually because I knew that you were touring with bands and I was going to ask you about them, but I wanted to get the names.
Well, we've been touring with Lisa and Expose and Stacy Q, Pretty Poison, and then lately some of the more new wave acts like Information Society and especially I'm thrilled about Flock of Seagulls. And these
Oh,
I love Flock of Seagulls,
I
and
love them.
And you had me at
this band
Information
just rock.
Society.
Pardon me?
Yeah,
You
Information Society is
you had
awesome.
me, yeah, you had me at Information Society. That's where you
And
that was my so
yeah,
Modern English, and then another thing that's been happening is we've ended up on the more
R&B.
R&B side with bands like Zap and the Daz Band,
Oh, nice.
and
That's
that's
exciting.
really comfy for us too
Yeah.
because that's really the music we love the best from that
That is
era.
so. Daz
Yeah.
Band had some hits.
Oh, they had some great. We actually covered them when we were playing in the clubs, because
Nice.
we wanted to be that band basically, and we did Earth, Wind, and Fire and
Oh,
Tower of Power and
Cool in the Gang and stuff.
Cold Blood with Lydia Pence and we did all kinds of stuff, but we really loved R&B music. So, but the cool thing about the stuff that we did with Atlantic is that we ended up on the charts in a bunch of different categories. So we were on urban radio, so the R&B circuit. We kind of have one toe in over there, and then we have
The club circuit.
the clubs. Then we have the freestyle thing, which we're not on the East Coast, which is where freestyle really originated and is huge. But because there's a Latin percussion influence in our music, we kind of fit there, and we also fit in the realm with the pop kings and queens like Flock of Seagulls and that Lost 80s live tour is what we're going to be doing in late August, September, and that's where all those bands are going to be. So
I'm
so
so
yeah, we feel
stoked.
very, very fortunate because when agents started calling us a few years ago, that when they first started calling us, we said, no, we're not going to do these shows. First of all, if you want us to come without a band, which most of them do because there's 10 or 12 acts on a show, so you can't have the full band. You have to do the show with tracks.
And they want just the hits,
But then our son graduated from high school, and we just this one agent said, these shows are so fun. The audiences are really warm and welcoming, and you're going to have a blast. And just maybe you should try a few. So we did, and she was right. We had so much fun, and being on the road with these 80s acts that we had never even toured with in the 80s. We made new friends. We felt like we were on 80s camp or something, Too much fun. Really, really. So
Sounds like it was.
it just keeps moving forward, and we did miss the band though. So we decided to, after doing that for about a year, we decided to put the band together, and even if we couldn't take them on the road all the time, we thought we could at least, expand our set to 2 hours instead of 15 minutes and play a bunch of the music that we really love in the Nu Shooz book. And that made it so that we became interested in creating new music again because we have this wonderful home studio and a great band, and we're like, we're stupid if we don't do something with this right now and take a snapshot of this moment in time. So John started writing music for our new record, Bagtown, and that's how that was the impetus for that whole creative project.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. I just before I bring up that subject, I've been waiting to tell you or actually congratulate you.
Thank
In
you.
2007, you were inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So that is very awesome. Congratulations for that.
Congrats.
Yeah. So fast forward past 2012 and 13 and 14, Bagtown. I know you say where the idea came from, and I've watched the videos, and I love the bags. I love the artwork. I love the town. Everything's alive in the town. That is awesome.
Yes.
I love that.
It's a happening.
It is a
place.
happening place. How did that, for those people who don't know, how did that come about?
Well, once we made a decision to make a record, I went out to the studio and I said, looked at the calendar and said, year and a half from now, this will be shrink wrapped. We don't really rely on inspiration, you know, you just show up at the office and start writing. The first thing I wrote was a couple symphonic pieces, and I went, no. And then spent about a month doing psychedelic rock stuff. And then I'm sitting around, by now it's the depths of winter,
Mm-hmm.
and there were all these lunch bags sitting around. So I started making bag puppets, and just out of the blue, I started making these bag people, and there got to be more than a dozen of them. And a city grew up around them, a cardboard city, and started to take over the whole studio. We're going, oh, we need a bridge to go over to here and stuff. It was taking over the place. And then I'm hanging out with these bag people, and I started to hear what they needed for their party. Literally. I mean, it sounds like I'm making this up, but that's really how it went down. And after that, after the bags established the direction for the music, then the music came really easy. And it was just a joy from the beginning to the end.
So you were talking to Bags. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I know. He'd come back to the house after being out in the studio and be like, "Hey, how's it going out there?" "Oh, I'm making bag puppets." "Oh, great, honey. That sounds really cool." But they actually are really cool bags, and we ended up giving them names, and they're just one of the best things about it is that after the bag puppets were created, our son was involved in this. He's a 21-year-old and hasn't lived at home for a couple of years, actually, but he was around for part of it, and he's an amazing artist, and so we ended up having him illustrate this wonderful Bagtown.
Nice.
And so he created the CD artwork and posters, and he did an illustration for each song, and he just did a fabulous job on creating this world and making it even more magical than when it started out. So it's been a blast to work with him on it.
A family project, that is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really great.
Everybody in the band was totally on board, and we just had the best time.
I like the videos where you all are, rehearsing, and it's just like it looks so cozy, and you just hear, and these amazing voices, and you're not hearing the music when you're watching it, but they are, and then they come in and then another person sings, and it's just like, oh, this is perfection. This is amazing.
Yes.
I love it.
These people are really good at what they do, and they're fun to be around. So what's not to like about making a record with them? We couldn't have had a better camping trip with these folks.
Yeah, that's what we call it, a camping trip. It's like, let's take our 8 favorite musicians and go to the Himalayas. And I have to say that the emphasis this time switched from the horns to the vocals. We really got into vocal arranging and just trying to make this big sound with the singers.
It's like I said, to me, it reminds me of a bygone era, where you can hear you can almost hear the amount of practice that went into this, because vocalizing is not something you just wake up one day and you go, oh yeah, let me do that, hit that G minor, or obviously I don't read music, or I would have said something better, but it doesn't involve auto-tune, and it doesn't involve massive remixing, and it's just pure talent, and pure, it's a gift, and I think when you said earlier, kids are looking for something that sounds better, that sounds different. They're going back to the 80s because the 80s was, a little bit of everything and more. And today it's more, plastic cookie cutter. If you make a rap song, it's got to sound like this. If you make a, a hip hop song, it's got to sound like this. If you make pop song, you have to have, at least this many verses and this many choruses, for it to be a hit. And it's just too fabricated, and
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what I love about your project, Bagtown. It's not. There's thought and there's soul and there's heart that went into.
Aw, thanks,
Thanks.
Rose.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, it really ended up being a record that's kind of an homage to all the music that we grew up listening to.
Yeah.
It's pre-synth.
Yeah, there's not a synthesizer in sight.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's all humans playing instruments, and it's some of our favorite some of our favorite people were involved with this project, and all of them happen to play in different incarnations of the band. Our bass player who joined in '83 is on it, and then we've got about our backups. Everybody in the band has been in different incarnations of the band.
I was going to ask that, but I'm glad you clarified it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So we know we picked our favorites.
We wanted people who really knew how to play Nu Shooz, which sounds easy, but I guess it's not.
I was going to ask, do you think Bagtown would have happened had Nu Shooz not happened back in the 80s?
Um,
And
well,
I'm sure that's tough to answer though.
I mean, I don't think the two things have much to do with each other.
Okay.
But I don't really know. Maybe I'm too close to it. I think that the sound of Bagtown is the sound that we were always going for, and that people associate us with the remix of "I Can't Wait," and we sounded way different from that before that, you know. So I think that Bagtown sounds like what we were trying to do in 1980.
At the same time, though, there was the synthesizers and the 808 and all that technology that was coming into play and being used really, really well by bands like The System and
Loose ends.
also wanted. I mean, it was new stuff. It was really fun to play with, and everybody wanted that really accurate, crisp, brighter kind of frequency,
Yeah.
spectrum in their music, and so we went with that too.
Yeah, because the technology was new and it was really exciting
Yeah.
that you could connect a bunch of synthesizers via MIDI and all that. And really, I Can't Wait being a hit enabled us to fall into that world of current music production,
Right.
at that time. And we got to work with a lot of great people. We recorded at Paisley Park and Electric Ladyland, and
Nice.
And
it
with
was.
Jeff Lorber down in Los Angeles, who
And David Z, Prince's producer.
yeah. So
Sweet.
it was a great ride. We've been very, very fortunate in our lifetimes here.
Now, I know that as you were talking and we were going through the years, you had mentioned where you were doing a lot of, you got a chance to do some R&B stuff, and you mentioned that you got a chance to do some of the covers. I was just wondering, what was your favorite cover to do?
Wow, I have to really think about that. But in the summer of '81, we were doing a bunch of stuff off the Chaka Khan record, and I loved that era. We just had a great band at that time, great version of the Shoes, and we sounded good doing that stuff. So, "What You Gonna Do for Me" by Chaka Khan, I loved playing that, and some Tower of Power stuff like "Walking Up Hip Street." Yeah, that was the stuff I really loved to play.
It's funny. We did so many different. There's so many different eras of the band from the time we were playing in the clubs, and so there's kind of a song from each era. We tried. We did Gladys Knight tunes and Aretha and Motown stuff. And when I first started in the band, singing with the two other singers, and I was just a backup singer. I love singing backups. It's just so fun to have a cool part and not be singing the melody. So
It is.
that was, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just great. And I didn't really want to be the lead singer for the longest time, but then our lead singer kind of got captured by cocaine, so he started missing gigs, and we had to somebody had to sing his songs, and then
Yeah.
pretty soon I replaced him. But there were other, we even tried to go top 40 for a while because
Sort of.
we were so bad at covering that kind of music. But
Yeah.
I do remember doing a Sting song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it too.
I forget what it's actually called, but it's Many Miles Away. Uh,
Oh. Oh.
you know,
Okay.
and,
Oh.
and
The one
Synchronicity
about,
2.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
why we remember the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. What does she win? Um,
Yeah, we played that.
That's our 80s music girl.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay, I got an 80s music thing. I fall down these rabbit holes on YouTube,
Hmm.
and I just put up, and it sounded brilliant. Video killed the radio star.
Oh yeah. The Buggles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what a great, and it was produced by Trevor Horn,
Yeah.
English production, and
Uh-huh.
it's just a gorgeous record. I,
It
you
is.
know, it's a cute song and everything, but when you listen to it, like, how did they make this?
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Wasn't that like one of the, if I'm not mistaken, to
The
take it further, it was
First
the
video.
first
the
video.
first video on MTV, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great tune, great video. And it's not a whole lot to it either.
No, but there
It's not,
is you look under the hood, and
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
stuff going on. There's an
Definitely.
engine.
Yeah.
There's a big engine under there.
Yeah. It was great stuff. I had and I still listen to a lot of R&B every so often, coming out of 78, early 80s, when I was in Germany. Did you guys ever cover any like Brothers Johnson or Heat Wave or anything like that?
No, and our cover thing, like Valerie said earlier, we were in a music scene that encouraged original music.
Yeah.
So the amount of covers that we would play in a night, a 4-hour night, we'd maybe play 6 or 8 cover tunes.
Oh wow.
And
But that's
also,
good.
the interesting thing that probably younger people can't even conceive of is that we didn't have every record available.
Mm.
In 1979, how many albums could you afford? Maybe 4 or something like that. So like the
Yeah.
entire early Nu Shooz sound was based on about 6 records.
And we were not also in a place where there were urban radio stations, really,
Or record stores.
Yeah, so there was like one show on a public radio station called KBOO with JW Friday, and he had a funk show every Friday or Saturday night, whatever it was.
At 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, and we'd tape it
Wow.
because we had no we had no way to get this music unless we went to LA and taped the radio down there. You know?
My mom lived down in LA.
And we do that sometimes, but so we mined the few resources that we had, and there's a few records that really had a big impact on our sound.
Like, I think that that Grandmaster Flash album, The Message.
Mm-hmm.
I think we used every kick and snare pattern on that record.
Wow. That's pretty way to glean from your predecessors. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
That tea bag.
Yeah. Definitely. And so I'm trying to envision this, and just because, like I said, I don't know a whole lot, but so you're recording this, you're off the radio, and do you go and find the sheet music, or do you just listen to it until you got it, or how did that work?
No, if you know music theory, it's pretty and the way music works, it's like a number system.
Mm-hmm.
So once you know the number system, then you can pretty much listen to something and write it out.
John just got really good at lifting the stuff off the records.
Yeah, really good.
How much do you charge to write music for people that
I'm tired
nobody
now.
really wants to listen to them sing?
But yeah, I mean, I was taking Tower of Power songs off the record with a turntable. Like, so you'd have to put the needle back and put the needle back and put the needle back.
Oh my
And,
God.
Right,
you know,
not even the cassette.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I meant earlier you were telling your story. You actually used the word tape, and I just wanted to, emphasize the fact that that was when it was actually tape. Whereas everybody just uses the word synonymously now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Kind of like
yeah, it
Kleenex.
was a real thing.
Yeah, it was actually tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we did a lot of tape cutting too.
For editing.
Editing. You'd
You
actually
had reel to
slice the
reel?
tape. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And an editing block and a razor blade, and yeah, get good at it. And
Mhm.
also the guy who mixed I Can't Wait, Peter Slockhouse from Holland, he had some tricks. I learned he could barely speak English, but he taught me some tape cutting tricks.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. The music industry is vast, but to me it's like a family affair. I mean, it
Mhm.
can be, but
Mhm.
the
It's a
minute
small world.
yeah, you find someone that's like, they're willing to share what they know, and sometimes
Mhm.
not, but
Most of the
it's
time, yeah.
yeah, most of the time it is,
Mhm.
and to be able to get that talent, under your belt, for future use, that's pretty cool.
Well, these 80s tours that we're on
Mm.
really feel like family affair because we all
Oh
listen to each
gosh.
other. We didn't know each other, but we listened to each other. And now we get on the road with these people, and it's like, whoa, it's you.
Right.
I love you.
I know. We're fans. We're not just part of the band. We're fans
Yeah.
of these other groups. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a thrill, man.
Well, I
That is
mean, I mean, in the music industry, I mean, it's not ultra competitive, right? I mean, everybody's kind of cheering for each other. Is that fair to say?
I I think that the people that we know are cheer for each other, and
Yeah.
and we might have been a little bit more competitive when we were younger, but you grow older. It's kind of like going back to your high school,
Mhm.
the 10-year reunion. Everybody's still kind of posing a little bit and trying to show how much they've grown and how cool they are. you know,
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
get to your 30th or your 40th or whatever, it's like
Mhm.
people start realizing that life is short and they drop the bullshit. it's
Yeah,
it's time to get real and
yeah,
so and let go of all the stuff that doesn't make you happy. So we know how to have fun now, I think, more than we
Yeah.
did back then when we took life a lot more seriously.
well, yeah, because what your expectations are, and what ends up happening is like a completely different road. You
Yes.
can make all these plans and have these amazing ideas, and 30 years down the road you kind of look back and you go, yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You go,
Yeah.
oh, that was such an amazing decision, but you
Yep.
can't see that, unless you're like
No.
psychic or the amazing Kruskin or somebody like that.
Yep, yeah, exactly. So you learn to take life at a little different, in a little different way, I think,
You do.
because nothing's ever going to be the way you think it's going to be.
Nope.
So you just learn to appreciate the moment as it is.
Hmm.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I am a little slightly disappointed in your list of songs that you're bringing up, or artists that you're bringing up that you cover. You missed a really great one, Eddie Murphy, "Party All the Time."
Oh yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
my God.
Rick James produced that.
Yes, he did.
And he's my hero. But in the video of that song, you see Rick James reach up and twist some knob during the recording, and for no reason. It's just because it's the video, right? He's got to look like he's recording. So after that came out, we would just reach up and turn faders up and go, Rick James.
Oh wow, awesome.
And then in advertising, that got to be called the client fader because they go, "Oh, can you make it a little more orange?" And you just reach up and turn some knob. How's that?
Like,
Oh, that's better.
It's like nothing changed. Come on.
No, it
Oh, but
changed
it
for
did.
them.
There you go.
It's all
It
about
totally.
perception.
Yes, it's all the packaging, all in the packaging.
The perception changer.
Yep. There you go. That's it. That's the perception changer knob.
Okay.
Why didn't we think that before?
The PCK, yeah.
Yeah, now we have a name for it.
Yeah. Give me a little more PCK on that, will you? Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, goodness. So you're gigging this summer, big time, I hear.
Yes.
My imagination.
Yep, we are. We have gigs with our full piece, 8-piece band in and around Oregon, and we have shows with some of the freestyle artists. We've got shows with those the Lost 80s Live tour later. It's
good
a good
summer.
Yeah, it's going to be a great summer. So if people are interested, they can go to our website, NuShoozMusic.com, and go to our shows page, and they'll see everything we're doing.
So exciting. I am very excited for you all, but I'm more excited for the fans because, it was a long time when they didn't hear from you, and now not only do they have new music, they've got new concerts, and it's a broader spectrum of people. Just 80s fans everywhere should be like rejoicing and dancing in the streets.
Awesome.
Well, it's
Thank
a lot
you.
of fun to be out there again.
It is. And we wouldn't be out there if people hadn't responded to the music the way they have, and sort of kept it alive all these years.
Yeah.
So we're grateful to our fans for doing that.
Well, that sounds like we're kind of wrapping things up. So, Valerie and John, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having us on your show, you guys.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your patience while we were getting everything together.
Oh, no worries.
And being able to regroup.
Yes, thank you.
Not a problem. Worked out fine.
It did. It totally worked out.
Yep. I hope I get to meet you guys someday. If we're in conversations with a few folks who are going to get us into the Midwest. So Dave, you said you're in the Chicago area?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we have relatives in Chicago too. So if we hope to get a gig over there sometime soon, and you're near Seattle, Rose. So we're still
I'm actually in Tacoma.
We've been working on trying to get into the Triple Door and Tractor and the Crocodile. Yeah, and it's being tricky. I don't know why, but
did you try Jazz Bones at all? That's actually in Tacoma.
Oh, really? Jazz Bones?
It's a smaller venue. If you're looking for something bigger, you would definitely want to try like the Moore Theater, Showbox. There's also a place called Nemo's.
Yeah, I think probably we need about, a room that holds about 300 maybe, or 250 to make it.
I think Moore Theater, because Joe Jackson played at the Moore Theater. I think that holds 500.
Oh, nice.
And that's in Tacoma?
That's in Seattle.
That's in Seattle. That might be a little too big, because we also need a dance floor. Because we did a few shows down here with our large band in some jazz place called Jimmy Mac's, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
But it's a sit down place, and people were just squirming in their chairs.
Yeah. Okay, so definitely not Moore Theater. Then you would probably want to do Showbox or Nemo's.
Okay.
Yeah. Crocodile Cafe, to me, I don't know. I keep hearing that's kind of divey.
Yeah, it looks a little divey on their website.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to say though is that my mom had retired and she lives in Vancouver, Washington. So if I ever get out to visit my mom, I'd be right there.
There you go. We could just make it a date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're playing actually a couple free shows in July, one of which is in Vancouver. They do this thing called 6 to Sunset on a Thursday night, and so that would be a good one. Fly on out.
Yeah. What day is that in July? I gotta.
It's on our website.
It's on your website. Right, of course it is.
I can't
remember you. Awesome.
Anyway, thanks again for having us, you guys, and
thank you.
Hopefully, we'll meet you one day soon, and do that face-to-face thing.
Definitely. Awesome. And thank you for being so awesome with your time and sharing the great stories that you have.
Absolutely. All right, you guys,
All right.
take it easy.
Yep.
You too. Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye, John.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s. That was fun, though. They were great. They were
They
great.
are so much fun. And I just, watching their videos, and you can just tell, they have such a great sense of humor. And the two of them together are just hysterical.
Yeah, actually,
John especially, I like him.
I haven't looked at anything about Bagtown, but now I got to go look now. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I'm glad he did I was able to get him to fill in the history on that, because I'm just like, bags, really? But now we know where they came from.
I love the fact that he had a story to share about Eddie Murphy. That was just totally being a joke, and he just went with it. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it just goes to show you, if you in the music business long enough, you pretty much, come back full circle,
Yeah.
with people that you meet and experiences that you have.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun, Dave. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know you don't want to hear me apologize, but yeah, the time that we were supposed to do it before, totally flaked out. Didn't have my mobile phone, because they kept it, from when I left my other job. So it's just like I was more concerned about that transition than anything else.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. And it all works out. It's like, like they say, everything
right.
happens for a reason. So
Right.
So, but that was so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait to, and if they do have those free concerts, I so want to go to one, and then maybe, like put the reporter hat on and like hit other people up too.
Should definitely do that.
Lisa, got a few minutes? Tell me about the college jam.
Yeah, I when I went to the comic book show and I did that interview, I did a very short talk with Ming Chen from Comic Book Men.
Nice.
And that how that came about was, I was hanging with Rob Southgate, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to go over there and talk to Ming because there's no one there in his autograph line. We're just going to, briefly talk to him."
Yeah.
So I walk up and I'm wearing a T-shirt, that says "Bleeps of the 80s," and Ming starts talking to me because he likes my T-shirt.
Nice.
And so we're hitting it off. We're having a great conversation about Atari games.
Sweet.
And I'm like, this is cool. I'm sitting there, rapping with Ming Chen, just having a regular casual conversation. And I'm like, do you do podcast interviews? And he goes, I'd love to just talk more about the 80s stuff. And he goes, well, I kind of have to do this autograph thing here, but if you go back to, I'll be at this booth at this time, if you're able to record then, then I'll be happy to talk to you. I'm a promoter of podcasting. I'm like, oh, awesome. So
cool.
I talked to, I do some Google searches on my phone. I find an app, and then the next thing you know, I'm recording with the app on my phone, and being the recorder, passing the phone back and forth.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. It worked absolutely fine. So I think it's completely plausible, if you got like a smartphone, and you're out and about and you're just have an 80s moment that you want to capture.
Definitely.
Do it.
Yeah. That's how I got, and I still haven't done anything with it yet, and I feel bad because there's like so many people I interviewed at Comic-Con this year in Seattle, and it's just like, I gotta get that stuff out there. But I did give Rob some video footage of some of the best ones. But that's how I got the one with Christy Carlson Romano. After I cried, it's like, I tell you that story?
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, here I am. I'm standing in line. My son's gonna buy me an autograph with Kim Possible. And I used to watch that cartoon with my granddaughter, and then she kind of outgrew it, and I just kept watching it until it went off the air. And so it was just always kind of a cool thing to me. They had a strong female lead, and she had a level head on her shoulders and all this stuff. So I'm just like, so now I'm actually going to meet the voice behind them, and of course I loved her and even Stevens, and everything. So I don't know. I don't know if it was because I was tired or like a super long day or just overwhelmed. And I get up there, and first I can't even talk because I'm just looking at my son going, like eyes tell her how much I adore her, and blah blah blah, and Kim Possible, etc. etc. And he's like, my mom's like all, I can't remember, he's like overwhelmed. She's all like geeked out because, she's meeting the voice of Kim Possible. And she's like, oh, that's so cute. And then just like, the minute she said that, I was just like, lost it. Like, oh, thank you. I just wanted to tell you. It's like dogs are howling someplace, and it's just like, Jesus. In my head, I'm going, you idiot, she's not going to want to talk to you now. Because she thinks you're a psycho. So she says, you know what? And she's like, she puts her hands on top of mine. She gave me like a bottle of water. She's like, okay, you're okay now? I'm like, okay, I'm fine. She's like, if you want to come back, and same thing that, Ming said to you, I've got to do this, autograph picture taking thing now. But if you want to come back like tomorrow, I'll be here from 2 to 4, and we can do the interview then, And she's, that's all good. I'm like, okay, I can do that. All right. And I don't know if she didn't expect me to come back or what she expected, but the next day I came back, I was just like completely business mode. I had the phone ready. I'm just like, hey, how's it going? Let's do this. And she's just like, oh, I remember you. I was like, yeah, I was the cryy lady that, you talked to. I actually didn't get a chance to interview till like 2 days later, but, I went back and she had to leave. And then I went back on Sunday and then totally got like this cool interview with her. But yeah.
So then what'd you do with it? The interview?
I still have it. I have it.
Okay.
It's recorded and I still have it. But I was going to put it in blog form. Basically, I didn't want to because I wasn't sure of the recording quality of it.
Right.
But it's probably 8 minutes long, if that.
And that's what mine with Ming Chen was, and I ended up adding like a whole bunch of audio clips.
Oh, nice.
So I think I got it up to like 15, just over 15 minutes because, like the stuff that we talked about, I added like the retro commercial sounds, into it. So it was, more of a, we talked about it and now, listen to the, those past commercials about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought it came out kind of cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, it's just, I think, a learning experience. I mean, when you're able to produce something off the cuff like that, I mean, it just kind of shows you who you are as a person. That you can actually do that. I don't know about you when you were there, but I was looking for people that I could just kind of go, hey, how's it going? Mind if we talk about your comic book?
Yeah.
Some people would be like, yeah, sure. And then some people would be like, oh, I'm kind of in the middle of something right now, but if you want to come back later, that's cool. A lot of times it was, what if I videotaped them on my phone? It would be like, ooh, I didn't realize you were going to do that, kind of a thing.
Right.
It's going to be video. Some people are just completely oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, let's do this and talk this, So yeah, it just all depends on your audience and stuff. So. Anyway, I have company now. My grandkids are up, and so I'm going to let you go. And thank you again for doing this for me. I appreciate it. Or for us, actually.
Yeah, for us. I mean, definitely. I had a blast with it. So they were great, and I'm glad that they were open to rescheduling. That was very cool of them.
Very cool, and they've had a lot of stuff to share, and a lot of good memories. You can tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, you have a good night.
All right, Dave. You too. You take care.
Yep, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.